Going to go Pete, Bill, Rece here.
All right, Pete.
So my favorite soundtrack in college football is the Bo Nix Scramble soundtrack. Dun, 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 and he goes like 72 yards to throw a 7-yard pass, right? I'm fascinated to see that experiment. I think it's been a little bit underplayed, just because he had some really good moments last year at Auburn before he got hurt. And one of the things about the Brian Harsin tenure that I think is underreported is that the decline of Bo Nix's health was directly related to the decline of Auburn, which had been playing pretty well under Brian Harsin before that point. So I've had some scouts go through Eugene who really like Bo Nix. Like they really think if he puts it together, he could be like a higher end NFL draft pick. So again, I'm not saying he's going to be the 8th pick in the draft, but and so this is my thing for this. I am a Georgia skeptic in the way where I need to see it especially on defense with all they replace. Now they have some Jalen Carters who are established war daddies, right? But they just have enough ambiguity and enough questions where if they go roll them by 37, I can't see that unfolding. And Oregon's talented. All right, Cristobal stacked good classes there. Yeah. So I'm not saying Oregon's going to roll in and win. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, shocked. And some of it, we're all biased by what we see, right? Like I watched Oregon go into the horseshoe and go pound for pound with the Buckeyes. Now, I could have called it against that Buckeye defense at that point. It was so sort of flat and predictable. But I really think that there's enough juice for Oregon on offense, enough moxie at the quarterback position, and just pure talent on defense where they can go toe to toe, hang out, and the thing's a game. So I think Georgia by 13.
I'm going to say more like Georgia by 21. I think I'm going to flip to that side of the line. I do think for my Big Friday Week 1 piece that you should absolutely go read, by the way. I do this sometimes. Basically, when it feels like it's one-sided, but the other team's pretty good, I try to piece together like, let's say we're looking back on Sunday and Oregon won this game. How did it happen? Because over the last 30 years. Number 11 is 6-5 against number 3. Now that's not a real stat that you should use for anything actionable, but I enjoyed it. It was a nice reminder that weird things happen sometimes, and that wouldn't be that weird. So
this is not investment advice.
Correct. But I do think one of the points that I was able to put together on how Oregon could do it. I mean, Georgia lost a lot of really good pass rushers. They still have a lot of good pass rushers, but it's at least conceivable that there's a hiccup at the beginning of the season. The defense will be amazing by October or November, but maybe at the start of the year, things don't go right. And Bo Nix has taken 9 sacks in 3 years against Georgia. But if you make that 0 or 1 and he's able to actually make some plays, at the very least they could cover, obviously, and you can see Chase Coda's involved, and there's plenty of former blue chippers for him to give the ball to, and you can see them at least scoring 17-20 points and covering, if not winning outright. And so that's kind of interesting to me. I trust Georgia at this point. This is a situation where we're used to national title winners having a hangover and maybe kind of easing their way into the season, but I just think they're too talented for that, and Kirby Smart's going to have them playing at too high a level. It's not going to be 42-0, but I think they cover.
Vegas has done what it often does to me that will have me kicking myself after I make this pick. When the line was around 13 or 14, that was easy for me. I was taking Georgia to cover. Once it's gotten up to, what is it now, 17.5, now that it's reached that, it's hit the too many points threshold because of Oregon's talent. I've described Bo Nix as being like not just a roller coaster at a well-maintained facility like Disney World. Bo Nix, the experience has been like a carnival ride when they pull it in on the back of a flatbed truck. And a guy named Bubba puts it together, and maybe he fixed the safety bar, and maybe he didn't, depending on whether he smelled the hot dog at the 7-Eleven and needed to go get it. So sometimes the Bo Nix experience is a ride you'll never forget, really. Other times he winds up rear end over tea kettle on the pavement, all scuffed and scraped up. But I've long thought that dude has big time talent. He's athletic. He's got a good arm, and he is he's fearless. And as Bill mentioned, the 9 sacks. He's thrown 128 passes against Georgia and thrown 1 touchdown, 2 picks. But I think he'll have a solid day. I think Oregon's not close to good enough to win the game. So I think Georgia wins by less than the number. So put me down for Oregon and the points. Decisively, but not covering the spread.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.